Hello VC people, Nelio here, doing my second VC video. Yes, you heard it right. Second. Blame it on the Hog Z report run and on Deadwalk 66 Randy because they instigated me to doing another video, and I'm doing it now. So let me jump right into it. First record I'm gonna show you is from a band from Uruguay called the Shakers. Over there, of course, they are called or were called Los Shakers. As you can see, they are a Fab Four-like band, and indeed they are. They are very, very good. This is their first album, released in 1965, and they were in fact, they had to move to Argentina because they were signed by Odeon from Argentina, and they moved to there, had their career there, and this is their first album. This is pretty good. Beatles-like album. They sung in English. The songs are almost their own songs, in fact, with a couple of covers. And this is maybe the best album, in my opinion, from South America from that time. Then the Shakers. This is the back cover. This is the Brazilian edition. I do not have the original edition from Argentina. So this is the Brazilian edition. This record is signed by Pelin, signed by Caio, the drummer and the bass player. And this is, nowadays, this is very rare. There is no reissue, so you have to be lucky to find an original for a good price. So, the Shakers. Now, the point is that the US label Audio Fidelity got interested in having them over there and release the records over there. Like this one. This is the record that was released in USA in 1966. Not this copy, because this copy is from Australia, is repressing from the US album, and was released in Australia in the early 80s. The record's not exactly like this one. They went to the studio again, did re-recordings of some of the tracks included in their original album, and also recorded other tracks to be in the US edition. In my opinion, the original album is much more better, is way better than the US edition, because all the tracks there are in mono, and the mono versions are much better and stronger than the stereo versions they did for the US release. They have some differences in takes, but I would go, if I have to choose one, I would go for the original Argentina or South American release. But okay, so this is the Shakers. Now, staying in the same country, Uruguay, we have Los Mockers. While the Shakers are a band in the Beatles style, Los Mockers follows the Stones style. And this is as great as the Shakers, but each one in their own way. So, Los Mockers. This record is a reissue from a Spanish label called Vinilissimo. The original is impossible to get because it's too expensive. So, Los Mockers. Sorry for the glare because it is with the original shrink wrap in it. Now moving on to a band you probably have heard about called Os Mutantes. This is their second album, an original Brazilian edition. At that time, the Brazilian companies, or most of them, use a very bad cover. I don't like. They are terrible. They are flimsy. They are really flimsy, fragile. I don't like it. But this record is the original, and in my opinion also maybe the best Mutantes album. Together with the third album are as good as this maybe. This is a mono edition. At the time there were no stereo edition, but now there is a reissue in 180 gram where you can hear it all in stereo. I'm gonna grab the reissue as well. So, Os Mutantes, their second album, and this band is interesting because they were influenced by the singers and fathers of tropicalism, Caetano Veloso and Gilberto Gil. So they acquired a sound that were unique at the time, a sound that mixed up the rock culture from US, from England, with Brazilian sounds, Brazilian musical culture. So they had a sound very, very unique and quite psychedelic indeed. At the time, no other band in Brazil were doing a sound like Os Mutantes were doing. So their second album, called Mutantes, is from 1969 and were released on the Polydor label. Now, still in South America, by the way, most of the video are from records released in South America, from bands from South America. But now we move to Argentina, where a band called Los Gatos had a nice career and released about 5 very good albums. This is their fourth release and came out in 1969. It has tinges of psychedelia. This, of course, is a reissue too. Originals are too expensive and very hard to find in nice conditions. My copy is signed by Lito Nebbia. Lito Nebbia is a founder of the band, is their main composer, the singer, plays guitar, plays keyboards, and this album is really, really great. Now, we go to Peru, and let me show you another reissue, because originals, as you probably guess, are impossible to get or too expensive, at least for my money. This band is called Lagonia, and this is the hype sticker. Lagonia was released in early 70s. This is the back cover. The front cover. It's a gatefold album. And really good. It's most a psych album than anything else. And it's a great album. This reissue also comes from Europe. And the label, Vinilissimo, is the same as the one by Los Mockers, the Vinilissimo label. So, I would recommend this record. It's really quite good. Lagonia. Okay, moving to Brazil again. Now, to show you a heavy psych album by a band called Módulo 1000. The title is Não Fale com Paredes, or Don't Talk to the Walls. It was released at the time when the military government were really hard on people. You couldn't speak freely at that time, or, you know, against the government. So this band, Modulo 1000, is quite heavy. It's quite a heavy sound, but a Psyche heavy sound. Sometimes it reminds of Black Sabbath, but lots of riff. Their sound has lots of riff. The music, some of the songs here goes like a mantra, repeating riffs after riffs, and is pretty out there. The cover, the album is only very good, but it's also really hard to find. The cover is a trifold, like that. That's the band, the 4-piece band, with drums, guitar, bass, and keyboards. A German label called World in Sound has put out this album a few years ago. So you can find it in nice sleeve, a very cardboard deluxe sleeve, just like the Brazilian one. So, Modulo 1000, Heavy Psyche. Now, I have something of a novelty as to say. This band is from California. It's called The Creation of Sunlight. Why am I showing this? Because this is a Brazilian edition of a super rare US album. This band released this album in late '68, I guess, by the Windy label, a very small label. And the label kind of quit doing the business soon after, and the record almost have had no distribution, so it became a really hard to find album in USA. Funnily enough, somebody here in Brazil in the early 70s running this label, pirate label, decided to put out this record over here, which is something I cannot understand as well. Nobody knew about this band, but the record came out over here. So on a pirate records label. This is Sunshine Pop, Psyche, fuzz-driven album, or with much organ as well. So it's a record I really love. The Creation of Sunlight, which I cannot explain why it was released in Brazil. Here is the album. Okay, folks, that's all for now. I'm sorry for my English, but anyway, hope you enjoy seeing these records. And maybe I'll do a third video sometime in the future. Bye!